take a breath. Close your eyes. What you're about to hear isn't some fabricated tale designed to scare you before bed. This is a real confession from someone who should have stayed silent. Someone who signed a document in blood and walked away anyway. I know how that sounds. Crazy, paranoid. The kind of story you dismiss in the comments and move on with your life. But if you'd been in that mansion, if you'd seen what I saw with your own eyes, if you'd felt the temperature drop the way it did, you'd understand why I'm telling you this now, why I have to. My name doesn't matter anymore. I've already changed it twice since that night. What matters is that I worked security for one night, just one single night at the Mapleton Drive private estate of Diddy, one of the biggest rappers and music moguls in the industry today. A man whose parties are legendary in certain circles. A man whose name opens doors and closes mouths permanently. And what I witnessed in that mansion between midnight and 4 a.m. broke something in me that I don't think will ever heal. Something fundamental. Something that made me understand the industry isn't what anyone thinks it is. So, if you're ready, if you're brave enough, lean in close, turn up the volume, and prepare yourself. Because once you hear what happened in that house, once you understand what really goes on behind those gates, you won't look at the entertainment industry the same way again. This is my warning before the story begins. I wasn't supposed to be there. That's what I keep telling myself, even now. And if I hadn't been desperate for cash, if I hadn't been 3 months behind on rent, with my car payment overdue and medical bills piling up for my sister's surgery, I never would have said yes to what was coming. My dispatcher called me on a Thursday afternoon. It was the kind of call that changes everything, though you don't know it at the time. High-profile gig, she said, voice crackling through my phone. One night, private event, good money. We're talking $12,000 for 8 hours of work. Just standing around, keeping people safe. That's all it would be. $12,000. Let that number sink in for a second. That's 3 months of rent. That's my car payment. That's half of what I owed the hospital for my sister's procedure. That security and breathing room I hadn't felt in years. Who's the client? I asked, trying to play it cool. Can't say. Confidentiality agreement they're very particular about. But trust me, it's legitimate. Someone important. Someone with serious resources. I should have asked more questions. Should have trusted the voice in my head that whispered something was wrong. But I didn't. I said yes before she could finish the sentence. You'll need to sign some paperwork, she added. Standard NDA, confidentiality, and non-disclosure agreement. The usual stuff. Don't talk about the client. Don't talk about the guest list. Don't talk about any details of the event. Standard protocol for high-profile clients. Yeah, fine, I said. When? Tonight. The event is tonight. Can you be downtown by 6 p.m.? And that's when I should have said no. Nobody books security for a major event with less than 12 hours' notice. But desperation is a disease that kills your ability to think clearly. It shuts down the warning systems in your brain. I packed a bag, threw on the black suit I wore for weddings and corporate functions, and drove downtown to an office building I'd never seen before. The lobby was empty except for a man in a charcoal suit standing by the elevator. He didn't smile, didn't introduce himself, just gestured for me to follow with one cold hand. The office on the 32nd floor was sparse, all white walls, minimalist furniture, just a single desk where a woman with a tablet waited. She didn't look up when I entered. You're the security, she said flatly, not a question. Yes, ma'am. She slid a tablet across the desk. Read this and sign. The document was titled Confidentiality and Non-Disclosure Agreement. 5 pages of dense legal language that essentially boiled down to, do you talk about anything you see, anything you hear, or anything you suspect. Violation results in civil and criminal penalties. Breaking the agreement would cost me $5 million and potentially land me in federal prison. I scrolled through the pages, my thumb hovering. Something felt off about the phrasing. Certain clauses seemed less about protecting business secrets and more about ensuring absolute silence. Like whoever wrote this was less concerned with protecting a client's privacy and more concerned with making sure witnesses couldn't speak, ever. There's an addendum, the woman said, still not looking at me. You'll sign that separately. She handed me a single page. At the top, in bold letters, Blood Covenant Acknowledgement. My chest tightened. I read it again. The language was archaic, almost ceremonial. It spoke of binding oaths, eternal silence, sealing with life essence and karmic consequence for betrayal. "What is this?" I asked, my voice smaller than I wanted it to be. "Addendum to the agreement. Purely ceremonial," she repeated, this time with a slight edge in her voice that made my stomach flip. "A symbolic gesture. You prick your finger, let 3 drops fall on the paper, and sign below. It makes the client feel secure. Nothing more. Just theater." Every alarm in my body was screaming. Every instinct said to walk out, but the number kept cycling through my head. $12,000. That's food. That's security. That's my sister getting the treatment she needs. I took the pen she offered. The prick was quicker, small metal device, like a diabetic's lancet, hidden inside the pen itself. The pain was immediate but sharp and brief. 3 drops fell onto the paper, dark red against the white. I signed my name below in my own blood. The woman nodded, folded the papers carefully, and slid them into a folder. "The car will pick you up at 10 p.m., she said. "Be ready. Dress code is black suit, no jewelry, no identification visible. The driver will give you an earpiece and instructions when you arrive. You'll maintain radio silence unless instructed to speak. You understand?" I nodded. I didn't understand anything, but I needed the money. The car arrived at exactly 10 p.m. A black Mercedes with tinted windows so dark you couldn't see inside. No license plate visible. The driver wore a black suit and aviator sunglasses, despite the darkness. He didn't speak when I got in, just handed me an earpiece and a card with a single instruction printed on it in neat clinical letters. "Position, North Gate. Do not move. Do not speak. Do not look directly at guests. Do not look at windows." The drive took 40 minutes through the hills of Los Angeles. Roads I'd never seen before. The kind of roads that made you feel like you were leaving civilization behind, moving into a geography that didn't appear on regular maps. I briefly peeked on the driver's phone screen. The destination read 200 S Mapleton Drive. I had never heard of this area. All I did was watch outside the car window as the trees closed in from both sides, blocking out the sky. No but just my own breathing, the hum of the engine, and the distant sound of wind moving through empty spaces. Then the gates appeared. They were massive, wrought iron, 12 feet tall, set into a stone wall that stretched in both directions farther than I could see. And they were opening as we approached, sliding back silently like they'd been expecting us, like they'd known we were coming. The driveway beyond was lined with tiny lights embedded in the concrete, like runway markers guiding planes in forelanding. The mansion at the end rose out of the darkness like something from another era, black glass and concrete. No windows visible from this angle, just smooth surfaces and geometric angles that seemed wrong somehow. The kind of architecture that looked less designed for living and more designed for containing something, holding something in. We pulled into a circular drive. Ballets in black uniforms emerged from shadows I hadn't noticed before, moving with military precision. The driver opened my door without a word and pointed to a position near the north side of the main entrance. "Stay there," he said. His voice was hoarse, like it hadn't been used in years. "Gate security. No one enters or leaves without authorization from the main house. You'll receive instructions through the earpiece. Don't deviate from your position. Don't move. Don't think about leaving." Before I could ask what kind of authorization or who would be giving instructions, he was gone, melting back into the night like he'd never been there at all. I took my position. The air was wrong immediately. Not cold exactly, but thick, heavy, like it had been sitting in that place too long and had developed a texture, a presence. I've worked enough events to know when something feels off, and this felt off in a way I couldn't articulate. It was like standing in a room right after someone has died, that peculiar stillness that comes when life has been drained from a space. Guests began arriving around 10:30 p.m. They came in black cars, each one identical to the last. The occupants were always the same, well-dressed, beautiful, moving with a kind of casual confidence that only serious money breeds. But there was something uniform about them, something manufactured, like they'd all been cast from the same mold, same posture, same smile. to sane, glassy quality to their eyes, like they weren't really seeing anything. I recognized some of them. A rapper whose album had dominated the charts last year. A television host known for her morning talk show. A producer whose name I'd seen credited on dozens of platinum records. Each one arrived, was checked off a list by a man in an earpiece, and disappeared into the mansion without hesitation or expression. None of them looked happy. None of them looked like they wanted to be there. By 11:30 p.m., the atmosphere had shifted noticeably. The air grew colder despite the warm nights. The hum I'd been hearing, the one I thought came from the mansioness, generators, or air conditioning system, all grew more insistent. Like the building itself was breathing, like something was waking up inside it. Then Diddy arrived. The limousine was longer than the others, blacker, somehow more present. When the door opened, he emerged alone. He wore all white expensive linen, perfectly tailored, glowing almost in the darkness, like it was generating its own light. His face was angular, almost too perfect. Like someone had asked a computer to generate what a successful man should look like, and then built him from the blueprint. But it was his eyes that made my skin crawl. Wet concrete gray. But there was something moving behind them. Something that wasn't quite human. A flicker. A presence. Like he was looking at me, but also looking through me. Seeing something I couldn't see. Something I wasn't equipped to perceive. He paused at the gate, looked directly at my position. Even though it was dark, even though I was in shadow, I felt him seeing me. Truly seeing me. Not just acknowledging my presence. Seeing into me. Then he smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It wasn't a smile at all, really. It was more like his face rearranged itself into the shape of what a smile should look like, while his eyes remained completely cold and still. "Welcome," he said, and his voice was like honey poured over broken glass, smooth and dangerous. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping the vultures out." I nodded, unsure what else to do. "You're curious," he continued, tilting his head slightly. I could feel him probing my mind. I can feel it. The wondering. What am I? What kind of party is this? What have I gotten myself into? I didn't answer. Couldn't answer. My throat had gone completely dry. "Good," he said. "Curiosity is better than fear. Fear makes people run. Curiosity makes them stay and watch. And watching is so important." He walked past me then, his white suit seeming to absorb the darkness around it, making him glow brighter as he moved farther away. When he passed, I caught a scent. Not cologne. Not anything with a name I could place. It was metallic, copper, but also something organic underneath. Something that reminded me of wet earth after rain, but wrong somehow, inverted. The earpiece crackled to life. "Security at Northgate," a woman's voice said. It wasn't the woman from the office, but it had the same flat, emotionless affect. "Maintain position. Do not allow anyone to leave. Do not move from your post. Do not look at the window. Time moves differently when you're waiting. Minutes stretch. Hours compress." I stood at my gate post for what felt like both seconds and centuries, watching the driveway, occasionally checking my phone to ground myself in normal time. By midnight, every invited guest had arrived. 43 people total. I'd counted them. They ranged from obvious celebrities to people I recognized, less clearly producers, managers, industry power players, people with money and influence most of us will never touch. The mansion was alive. That's the only way I can describe it. The black glass walls seemed to pulse with a faint bioluminescence, visible only if you weren't looking directly at them. The hum had grown into something almost musical, not quite audible, but felt in the bones, in the teeth. In the back of the skull. It resonated with something fundamental inside my body. Around 1 a.m., I heard the first scream. It wasn't a scream of pain. It wasn't a scream of fear, exactly. It was a scream of recognition. The kind of sound a person makes when they suddenly understand something fundamental about reality in their mind. Couldn't process the knowledge. Raw, primal, human, in a way that hurt to hear. "What's happening?" I asked into the earpiece. No response. "Hello, is everything okay in there?" Still nothing. Just the hum, growing louder. and the distant sound of that scream fading into the night. I should have left, should have walked to the driveway, found the main road, and called the police. But I was frozen, not physically, emotionally. There's a state your mind enters when something is so wrong, so fundamentally incorrect that it can't process what to do. You become an observer instead of a participant. You watch yourself not running, not screaming, not acting, and it's like you're watching someone else's life happen. That's when I saw her, a woman, face pressed against the glass of one of the mansion's windows. The window I'd been specifically told not to look at. Her hands were spread against the glass, like she was trying to push through it. Her mouth was open. Her eyes were wide, and even from this distance, in the darkness, I could see the wrongness in her face. Like something was looking out through her eyes that wasn't her. Like her body was a puppet and something else was pulling the strings. I blinked, looked away. The earpiece crackled. "Did you see that?" the woman's voice asked. I didn't answer. "I asked if you saw that," she repeated, harder this time. "At the window. Did you see?" Yes. I admitted. "Good. That's very good. That means you're starting to understand what this is, what diet is, what we all are." "I don't understand anything," I whispered. "You will," she said. "Before the night is over, you'll understand everything, and then you'll have a choice to make." The earpiece went dead by 2 a.m. The sounds coming from inside the mansion had changed completely. It started with chanting, not in English, not in any language I recognized. The syllables were too angular, too sharp, too wrong. They cut through the air like broken glass, and each time I heard them, my head would pound. Physical pain that radiated from my temples and spread behind my eyes like someone was drilling into my skull. The hum had become music, not music made by instruments, music made by human voices, but stretched, warped, layered on top of each other until it sounded like a chorus of thousands singing in unison. And underneath it, barely perceptible, I could hear individual voices I recognized. The talk show host, the rapper, the producer, all of them singing something that wasn't words anymore. Something primal and ancient and absolutely wrong. I pressed my hands against my ears. It didn't help. The sound was coming from inside my head now, as much as from the mansion. It was like the hum had found a frequency that resonated with my own biology, and now it was vibrating through my skeleton, through my DNA. A figure appeared in the main doors of the mansion. It was Diddy, but he was different now. His white suit glowed with an inner light, phosphorescent, almost painful to look at, and his skin, his skin was moving, like something was shifting underneath it. Like the person I'd seen arrive was just a costume, and whatever was inside was starting to press through from the other side. His face rippled like water. His jaw unhinged slightly, not quite opening, but suggesting that it could. His eyes rolled back, showing whites that went on for too long, stretched beyond where eyes should stretch. "Come inside," he said. But the voice wasn't coming from his mouth anymore. It was coming from everywhere, from the ground, from the air, from inside my own skull. "Come inside and witness what real power looks like. Come inside and understand what we're building here." I shook my head, didn't move. "You're special," he continued. And now I could see that the thing behind his eyes was looking directly at me, not around me, not through me, at me. "You're marked. You signed the covenant. Your blood is ours now. Your silence is binding." "I didn't consent to this," I said. My voice sounded very small. I didn't know what I was signing. "That's what makes it perfect," he said. And now his smile spread too wide. The skin at the corners of his mouth split, blood running down his chin, but he didn't seem to notice or care. "The best contracts are the ones made in ignorance. The ones where you don't know the cost until you've already paid it." Behind him, inside the mansion, I could see movement. Shadows that moved wrong. Pickers that weren't quite solid, flickering in and out of visibility like bad reception on an old television. And they were all looking toward the doors. All focused on me. "We're inviting you," Diddy said. "Come join us. Become part of the collective. Lend your energy, your essence. your silence. In return, you'll never want again. You'll never struggle again. You'll have everything you've ever dreamed of. All you have to do is say yes. I took a step back. All you have to do, he repeated, is say yes. My hand was on my phone before I consciously decided to move. I was dialing 911 before I understood what I was doing. The moment my finger touched the screen, the earpiece erupted. "You can't," the woman's voice said, but now it sounded different, layered, like multiple women speaking in perfect unison, their voices slightly out of sync. "The covenant won't allow it. You signed in blood. The agreement is binding." I tried anyway. Dialed the number. Nothing happened. The screen went dark. My phone died completely, even though it had been at full battery moments before. When I looked up, Diddy was closer. Much closer. He'd moved from the mansion doors to only a few feet away, but I hadn't seen him move. He'd just been there suddenly, standing in the space where he hadn't been before. "You understand now," he said. His voice had stabilized somewhat, but I could still hear the chorus underneath it. The thousands of voices singing in that language that hurt to hear. "You understand what this is. You understand what we are. And you understand that you can't leave." "I can leave," I said. But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. My legs wouldn't obey if I tried to run. I was locked in place, held by something that had no physical form but was absolutely real. "The gates are sealed," he continued. "The driveway loops back on itself. You could drive for hours and never find the exit. The road you came on doesn't exist anymore. There's number 911. There's no police. There's no one coming to save you." He was right. I could feel it. The covenant had taken root in me the moment my blood touched that paper. It had burrowed into my DNA, my consciousness, my very ability to make choices. I was his now. I was theirs. "But we're not cruel," Diddy said. "We give you a choice. 2 paths." He raised his hand. With his other hand, he created a doorway. 2 doorways appeared in the air before me, both glowing with different lights. One was golden and warm. The other was silver and cold. "The golden door," he said, "leads to acceptance. You step through, you join the collective, and you become part of something greater than yourself. Your pain ends. Your struggle ends. You become eternal. You become powerful. You become us." He paused. His gaze shifted to the second door. "The silver door leads to forgetting. You step through, you walk back to your car, you drive away, and you remember nothing. Not this night. Not this mansion. Not me. The covenant still holds you'll be bound to silence by forces deeper than memory. But you'll be free to try to live a normal life. You'll be broken in ways you'll never understand, but you'll be free." "And if I refuse both?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Then you stay," he said simply. "Forever. Conscious, aware, unable to leave. Part of the building itself. Your voice joins the chorus. Your essence feeds the collective. You become a window through which we can see the outside world." I thought of the woman's face pressed against the glass. I understood now. That wasn't a guest. That was someone who had refused. I chose the silver door. I don't remember crossing the threshold. I don't remember the walk back to the car or the drive down the canyon road. The first clear memory I have after choosing is pulling into my apartment complex as the sun was rising. My hands shaking on the steering wheel. My mind completely blank, except for one thought repeating, "Something is wrong. Something is very wrong." Mate, something happened. But I can't remember what. I went inside, showered for 2 hours until the water ran cold and then colder. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was crawling on my skin, underneath my skin. That something had been transferred to me in that place and was still trying to burrow deeper into my consciousness.